take a look at the Gold Cup, and this obviously revolves round Silviniaco Conti, who not only won the Betfair Chase but won the King George very impressively. And this time, whereas we saw Q Card going from the front last year, but Silviniaco Conti this time that went from the front. How impressed were you, Billy?
I was. I thought sometimes people say, well, when they're held up, they're ridden like the best horse in the race. But no, that's how to ride a horse. You know, Noel got him run his own race, got him jumping well, going the gallop that he wanted to go. And, you know, if you're good enough, come and get me. And they weren't good enough. And he, you know, to me, I thought that was the best one of his career. I think the handicap only rated the same as the Betfair Chase and the previous King George. I thought it was a pound or two better. It was a good performance. Did
you get it up a bit higher?
I didn't.
You were undermining the form, wasn't you?
I'm not sure if I was undermining it. I just didn't like him. I didn't like the idea of him 3 miles around Kempton on a speed trap. But when I seen him go earlier on, I kind of see what was going to happen. I thought they won't get back to this because that's what he does. It was a fantastic ride from the front.
And let's not forget the Champagne Fever was a 2-miler. Who likes the front one couldn't get in front. I think Ruby was.
But I think Noel Feely saw that. I think he must have seen Champagne Fever going from the front as one of his bigger threats, because he really, if you watch the start of the tape, he is at the front of that group. He's not letting anything else past it. He's in the inner and he's gone. And Champagne Fever did well to keep up and finished 4th in the end. And I was disappointed. I was expecting a little bit more. I'd love to see him given one more chance at the trip. I don't think he'll have it.
I think the big question mark here, Matt and Billy and Sam, is flat tracks. We've mentioned Kempton, Haydock is a fairly flat track. Last year at Cheltenham, Silviniaco Conti, you know, 2 from home, looks like the winner. Then suddenly 3 horses on the right-hand side, including Lord Windermere, get up. And in the end, I think the horse finishes 4th.
Yeah.
Is that the concern, up the hill?
Maybe. I mean, last year I couldn't have had this horse in my mind, but he's impressed me this year, and he did impress me. He looked a different horse. I mean, the back end of last season, it was hanging, wasn't he? He hung at Cheltenham, and he was hanging at Aintree. I think there was probably a problem that they've actually mended there. But from a ratings point of view of the race, it was very difficult to look at. I've handicapped it around the second horse on his very best form, because I think Danas ran a tremendous race in second, finished really well. So I rated 179, which actually is around the same mark. I mean, his best mark I ever gave him 1778, so a pound up from that. It was a good performance. It just went to show, didn't it, that, you know, that better ground, which was a bit good, you know, good to soft, they went that little bit quicker. I mean, and jumping was so important, isn't it, in that race at Kempton on those flat tracks. Minora tried to take one of the fence home for Christmas.
Absolutely.
It's so important.
He jumped around, but when you see a performance like that, when you see a horse that's clearly ran to his best, he's done everything right, he's had a good day, that is not the time from a betting point of view to start saying, well, I'm going to lump on him for the Gold Cup.
Silviniaco Conti actually was 8-1 before that King George.
Now he's what, 3-1?
Well, 11-4, but a price guide here.
See, that's too short. Now, when you look at the quality in that race, and, you know, don't forget...
I agree with you here, there are plenty of each-way options here.
When you look at that race back last year, how literally... I mean, Matt, you're a man that enjoys form. You could have 3 different winners, 4 different winners of that race over the last 4 furlongs, couldn't you, really? When you watch that back... How literally do you want to take that form for Lord Windermere? You know, do we on his own again? I mean, do you really see them reopposing? Because they're good prices if you do.
I mean, I would cross off things like Bobsworth, but there you go.
I think what we saw last year is that Silviniaco Conti wasn't right, and we've probably seen the worst Gold Cup run ever in history.
Can we get that on the table?
Well, I mean, look, how's the form worked out? Lord Windermere's already been out and been thrashed. That
wouldn't be the first Gold Cup where you've had the glory years of Michael Dickinson and Corte Star and Denman, but it's not the first Gold Cup to go like that.
They can't always be classics, I suppose, in that sense.
You can't, but you can see again. You can see something like that. It's a long race on bad ground, especially. It tends to go to a slogger, and it's not pretty at the end always. But just on Champagne Fever, I thought he did stay. I thought
really,
Ruby did the right thing. He didn't hold him up. I'm not sure about the trip. He went for it like he would stay, and he was still in second place going to the last.
I wish Conti had been held up, Billy, because I think you would have seen. Not necessarily.
Well, I laid it for a place on the day, and I did say
just about got out of jail.
But to me, I didn't think he stayed.
He blatantly didn't stay. He was just doing too much. I mean, for the pace they won, and he was still doing too much early.
I think people would disagree with that.
A lot of speed.
I think people disagree with that because I've seen him on the 2 mile bumpers and also 2 miles. He looks like a stay. I don't think at this time of his career whether he did or not.
I'd bet to be a stay.
The Champion Chase has cut a little bit, hasn't it? So I suspect that.
But the argument would be it was the first time it was stepped up in trips, so maybe it will improve. proof of that. We've got to look at the other form. We've got to look at the Lexus form, which has a lot of potential. I mean, this is like a Gold Cup trial in many respects, because you've got Rhoda Riches, Lord Windermere, Bobsworth, Boston Bob, so many.
Boston Bob, sorry, not Boston Bob, Bobsworth. Wow.
Sam Winner was also in that race as well.
Yeah, I like Sam Winner, but I think he needs something further. He's one of those horses, he hits that flat spot, and I don't think you can do that in a Gold Cup. I
mean, Sam Winner's not bred to stay. He's really not bred to stay that far. He does stay very, very well. He's had 26 races now. So you tend to think of him as being a little bit unexposed, but he's not really. He's had quite a lot of racing.
Battle hardened, though.
Yeah. But I mean, the ride he had at Cheltenham to get him home, Sandtwist and Davis earned his fee that day. He really had to drive him from about, I don't know, it was about at least a mile out, and he was really galvanising the horse. I just don't think he'd get away with it in a Gold Cup. I think you hit a flat spot, they're gone. You know, this is a race that's run to attritional pace.
Matt, how do you see that Irish?
Yeah, I did. I had a good look at this yesterday. Went backwards and forwards. It was run on softer, heavy ground. I mean, visually watching it live, I remember thinking, "Blimey, this all looks a bit hard work for everyone in the closing stages." But I've actually handicapped the race around the fifth horse, which Carlingford Leif, going through his form. I've taken a very positive view. I had Rhoda Riches running to mark of 179, is exactly the same as Silvio Conti on his own 177. Obviously, an improvement of when they met last time. And Boston Bob, even in fourth, ran to a mark of 172, improved a lot, got a lot closer to Rhoda than Riches than he did the time before.
What occurred to me about the race was they all finished.
It was almost like the Gold Cup. It was a bit of a strange finish. I mean, if you look at on his own, admirable though he is, he's never won in Grade 1 company.
Oh, come on. He was ruled out very unfair. You know,
he has never won in
if you had your money
company
on him last year, you'd feel very disappointed, Billy.
He's never won in Grade 1 company.
I just want to go back to a point you made there when you said, you know, it's no going on and off the bridle. I'm not quite sure. A lot of Gold Cup winners, I mean, called Dorna, Toby Boldens, that was on and off the bridle all the way. It is sometimes about staying and not so much, but it's synchronised. When he won, he's on and off the bridle. I think it's that sort of race. And I remember when I went to Toby Boldens and did that interview and we talked about the Gold Cup, and he was saying, well, I never seen Cool Dawn ever as a... he didn't strike me as ever being a Gold Cup horse because he didn't have all that natural speed. But he actually accepted and said, actually, for a Gold Cup, not necessarily all about speed. Sometimes you do need a horse on that track that does go on and off the bridle. That's just got a heart of a lion.
Lord Windermere finished 7th in the race the previous year, 7th in the race this year, and ultimately won the Gold Cup. Can Lord Windermere
I think he's run completely to form. I think he ran to what he did in the Gold Cup, about 167, which highlights again how bad that Gold Cup was, the worst in history.
Especially with the Bridgewater horse up there. Giant bolster.
Leave the bolster alone. He always runs his race.
Look, we've got to talk about some others in this race. We've got to talk about Holywell. We've got to talk about Many Clouds, the winner of the Hennessy. You said the Gold Cup was the worst Gold Cup of last year. Was the Hennessy the worst Hennessy ever?
I think so, yeah.
It's been a bad season.
I do, and I think it's already been proven that. I mean, we've got Many Clouds. I had run to mark of 166. Herban Double off top weight.
You've been beaten since by the young master.
Well, since in the hand. He was down in class.
By the young master, and he had to give him oodles of weight.
Race.
Yeah, but he had to give him so much weight.
I had him performing that day, 169. The young master 155. It's the year before. Mary King was in the Hennessy. Look where they finished. It's all exactly the same. The Hennessy before was clearly a stone better than what we had last year. When you look at it, you know, on form.
I thought Trio. Just to change something. I thought Triola de Ain run very well at the weekend. Funny.
Is that Sandown? Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. But anyway, where we stand on Holywell, no doubt. I've got a little stat for him very quickly.
Go for
the cheek pieces come out, and then when the blinkers come on, he won at Cheltenham, 25-1. Cheek pieces. Blinkers come back on last year, wins at Cheltenham. And I know John Joe O'Neill was totally out of form. With the blinkers come back on, could he make it a hat-trick, Holywell?
Well, Matt is a Holywell fan, isn't he? He thought he was going to win every race this year.
Yeah. Well, at the best race ever was one at Doncaster, wasn't it?
Yeah. If we look at Holywell's form back into last season in the spring, when beating Doncaster at 10 lengths, Wonderful Charms 7, and Many Clouds a further 3.25 lengths back, without a doubt that form is quite strong, 174. I mean, Doncaster has come out, and obviously he's been doing very well. In fact, I'd like to speak about him, but his chances of Gold Cup, Wonderful Charm, Many Clouds, the Hennessy winner, but he hasn't shown that form since, and the way he jumped at Aintree last time, I just couldn't possibly have him on my mind. I accept John Joe's form, I accept he's a spring horse, but from a gambler's point of view, of a horse, when I watched him jump round there, I thought there's absolutely no chance.
Billy, what else are we?
I'll tell you what, I looked down the weights because I thought, this could be a year where maybe there will be a shock. And I looked at Smad Place, who's got obviously the all-important festival form, and he stays well. He's been there. He's unexposed as a chase, so I could see him winning a big race. The problem is he's in a Ryanair, and he's probably more likely to go for the Ryanair.
Yeah, I don't think he'll stay. I was really fancying for a Hennessy, and I watched the tape back and I thought, would you stay? I think he would be very interesting for Ryanair, but personally I don't think he would get the Gold Cup trip in a horse box.
I think there's one in here that I'm going to throw at you guys just to see what the reaction is, and I know John Jones in no form at all at the moment, but Shut the Front Door.
Yeah.
Not the most spectacular when taking in hurdles, ran in the 4 miler, did all right to get round Nina Carberry Road that day. I know that's obviously a longer distance, but I just wonder, he's got a lot of darts to throw at this race. And
I actually quite like Shut the Front Door.
The only thing is the distance, isn't it? I mean, 3-5.
But it's one at a hell of a pace, isn't it? It might be a national horse, but at the same time,
distance if you look at me. Huh? But hasn't he had physical issues? Has he had breathing issues? Or
that's the case. I mean, talk about the Hennessy very quickly, but Union East was in that race and won very well at the weekend. Union East.
Well backed off the boards as well, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone was on.
Is there anything else we should mention? We haven't got long.
Yeah, I'd like to mention Don Cassack. Not sure if it'd go for this race. I'd love it to go here. It's got some real good form. Beat, of course, Boston Bob 4.5 lengths. Boston Bob was beaten by Road to Riches, so on that form only has 2 lengths to find for Road to Riches, but definitely Don Cassack, if went for the Gold Cup, I'd definitely be interested.
Staying would be an issue for me. If I had to pin you down now, Billy?
If you pin me down now, I'd have £1 on Smad Place. Advice, and I hope he goes to that race. £1, yeah.
Okay. No doubt, Sam would do 50p each way. Sorry.
If he gets an entry and he ran, I think Don Cassack would be very interesting.
Okay. I agree with you. Actually, Don Cassack's interesting. I don't think this will be his race. I would probably say I'm going to stick to my guns on Shut the Front Door. Just something about the horse is not the profile. Just it's very. Yeah, it's going to pop up somewhere.
I'm with you on that. I mean, Silviniaco Conti to me,
I don't know where it'd be in the national race.
He's going to win the race, but I think something like Silviniaco Conti